I will also note that I'm probably not going to be moving this arm very much because I severely burned my hands and I can't use it right now. So if I look a little awkward, it's kind of because I'm not supposed to be moving this side of my body that much. So that's a thing. Hi guys, it's April and 2020 is going out with a bang. I very severely injured myself. I get the joys of experiencing a burn unit. I mean, new experiences and all that, I guess that's something. But otherwise, for the reading year, things have gone well. So for the month of December, I ended up reading 9 books, which brings my total to 202 books. I never thought I was going to hit the 200 mark, but apparently I did. For those 9 books, it ended up being 2,984 pages, which brings my yearly total and the final page count to 52,730 pages. I ended up reading about 96 pages a day, which means I spent about 3 days per book. I was reading at a speed of about 82 pages an hour, and for the whole month, I ended up reading for a total of 37 hours. But those are the stats. Now we're going to move on to the probably more exciting part of why you came here, and that is to listen to me talk about books. I will note before I stumble into my book reading, I did finish a couple of coloring pages. I did a Christmas clock that I just finished up and did a speed color for, so I will link that. And I also did a Christmas advent calendar, which was kind of fun. I broke it up into about 4 days per video, but I'll also show you the completed thing because they're actually really small pieces, but I felt accomplished because I was coloring a lot. But otherwise, on to the books that I read. The first 2 things that I read I want to talk about together, and that is Edgedancer and Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. These are both novellas set in the Stormlight Archive series. One of them, I believe, is 2.5 and the other one is 3.5, so it sits between the last couple of books. I find it kind of hilarious that these are considered novellas when they are up to 200, 300 pages, but that's okay. I have read Edgedancer before, and it is the story of Lif and some things that she goes on an adventure for. And then we have Dawnshard, which of course is the story of the Dawnshard. It has ships and powerful women and interesting beings. If you are in this world at all, I highly recommend that you pick them up. I did do a reading vlog of when I read both of these. I actually read them both together at the same time and put my thoughts down in video format. If you want to check that out, there are lots of spoilers because I don't hold anything back, but it's there. Next, I picked up White Stag and Goblin King by Barbieri. This is the story of the Permafrost and a young girl who is fighting for survival in the Goblin Kingdom. I originally picked it up because it had undertones of Labyrinth in it, and so I really wanted to get into it. I have reviews over both of these books in case you want to check them out. I enjoyed the first book. I was a little on the fence with the second book. I would have been perfectly fine if I hadn't picked up the second book, if I'm honest, but I received an art copy of the second book, so I figured I should read it and review it, but I probably won't be adding it to my shelf. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. I mean, the title alone kind of makes me want to, even though I'm not that excited about the insides. I'm weird like that. But check out the full reviews for more information if you're curious. I then picked up The Seance by Heather Graham. This is part of her, I think, Harrison Investigation series, which is a paranormal romance series that I really like paranormal romances, especially that involve ghosts and other entities like that. So I have had this on my shelf and I thought it would be good to read this because I was trying to get into the holiday mood when I travel and I read these kind of books. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. This was a bit of a slower read for me because I couldn't get into it as much as I wanted to. But it does have the Heather Graham style. It's got, of course, a couple seances and some ghosts and a murder mystery and a very cute love story because Heather Graham. I then picked up a ARC copy of Eventide by Sarah Goodman. This is the story of Verity, who is 17, and her sister Lila, who is 11, who end up on an orphan train because their mother passed away and their father is put into an institution. This orphan train stops in Arkansas, and Lila is picked up by a wealthy family, and Verity decides that she is going to stay in town, work as a farmhand so she can be close to her sister. And then when she comes of age, she can try and take her sister back. Now, while Verity is in town, she starts to realize that her family might have a bigger connection to this area, and that there are some weird things going on in the woods that are a little bit eerie and creepy. It just has all the right kind of feels for me. This is set in the early 1900s, so it has some of that older feel. I do have a full review of this book as well. I really enjoyed the ride. The ending, I have a little something about, but otherwise, I really enjoyed it. Next, I picked up the Guinevere Deception and the Camelot Betrayal by Kiersten White. This is the first two books in the Camelot Rising series by Kiersten White. This is an Arthurian retelling that is centered around Guinevere, who isn't who she seems to be. She is sent by Merlin to protect Arthur from magic in the kingdom, and of course, things go awry. It takes a lot of the Arthurian elements, it changes them up a little bit, of course, makes it YA, and then all kinds of shenanigans ensued. Now, I will say I am not the biggest Guinevere fan, which is why I haven't picked this one up sooner. I got an ARC copy of the Camelot Betrayal, so I had to go back and read the Guinevere Deception. This series did not make me like Guinevere any more than I ever thought I would, because I don't. This story does take some interesting twists on the traditional Arthurian legends. I don't know if I like some of them or the fact that we push this more YA. I'm all over the place with this series. I have reviews up in case you want to check them out. If you like Arthurian retellings, you'll probably enjoy this. This does have a nice LGBTQIA representation going on in several different characters, which is nice to see. But otherwise, I don't know if I'm gonna pick up the next book, because I, at this point, don't know if I care enough. And last but not least, I picked up The Code for Love and Heartbreak by Jillian Cantor. This is another ARC copy that I received for review, but it is an Emma retelling, and I enjoyed it for that. I had forgotten that it was a retelling when I started reading it, and I'm like, this story sounds really familiar. These names are extremely familiar. I'm like, wait a minute. This is all the Emma characters, because all of the names are the same, even the last names, which, heads up, signal, clue, but I did end up liking this. This is an Emma retelling in which Emma is a little bit more about numbers than she is about people. She trusts coding more than she does trust actual humans. And so this is her developing an app to match people at her school, and of course, all the shenanigans that ensue because of it, and Emma just learning a little bit more about herself and human nature, which is a whole part of the Emma story. But I enjoyed it, and if you like Jane Austen retellings, you'll probably like this one too. I have a full review up, so of course I will link that up above and down below, like always. Otherwise, just know I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So those were the last books that I read for the year of 2020. 2021 is now on the radar for reading experiences and everything else. 2020 was a year that none of us are going to forget at all. But I'm kind of glad that it's over. So here's to 2021, and I hope you have a wonderful reading year. And of course, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe down below, hit that bell, get the notifications so you can get all of the things, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.